We have been listening for aliens for over 100 years. We've pointed our biggest telescopes at the sky, fired radio beams into the dark, launched golden records into interstellar space, and sat in silence, waiting for something, anything, to respond. Some of these signals were so strange, so perfectly shaped, so deeply unexplainable, that grown scientists with PhDs literally lost sleep over them. And some of them, to this day, still have no confirmed explanation. This is every alien signal we ever tried to decode, ranked from least to most terrifying. And trust me, by the end of this list, you are going to feel very small. Number 10. Nikola Tesla hears Mars. Let's start in 1899. Nikola Tesla, the guy who basically invented electricity as we know it, was alone in his Colorado Springs laboratory one night, running experiments with a massive radio antenna designed to track thunderstorms. And then something happened. He picked up a signal, not random noise, not a storm, a rhythmic, repeating, structured signal. And it kept cutting off at a very specific moment, right when the planet Mars dipped below the horizon. Tesla was so shaken, he wrote about it in Collier's Weekly in 1901, saying his first observations definitely scared him because there was something mysterious, if not supernatural. He later became fully convinced the signal was from intelligent beings on Mars, and spent years trying to perfect his radio technology so he could respond to them. Within a few years, Guglielmo Marconi, the other man who invented the radio, came forward and said he had also intercepted strange signals he believed were sent by the inhabitants of other planets. And Thomas Edison publicly agreed with them both. Think about that. Three of the greatest scientific minds in human history in the same decade all independently believed they were picking up signals from Mars. We now know they were likely picking up natural radio interference, possibly from Jupiter's moon Io passing through Jupiter's magnetosphere. But here's the thing. Nobody actually knows for certain. The original recordings are gone. The mystery just quietly got swept under the rug. This is low on the list because we can explain it mostly. The entries coming up, not so much. Number 9. The message we screamed into space. In 1974, humanity decided it was time to stop just listening and start talking. On November 16th, scientists Frank Drake and Carl Sagan stood at the Arecibo radio telescope in Puerto Rico, a dish the size of 10 football fields, and fired a signal directly at a cluster of 300,000 stars called Messier 13, located 25,000 light-years away. The message was 1,679 binary digits, ones and zeros, and it was transmitted in under 3 minutes at a power equivalent to 20 trillion watts. For context, that's more powerful than any television broadcast ever made. Here's what the message actually said. It contained the numbers 1 through 10, the atomic numbers of the elements that make up DNA, a diagram of the DNA double helix, a crude pixelated drawing of a human being, a map of our solar system pointing at Earth, and a picture of the Arecibo telescope itself. The message was designed so that any intelligent civilization that received it could arrange the binary code into a grid and see those images. The problem? It won't arrive at its destination for another 24,975 years. And even if someone answers immediately, we won't get the reply for another 25,000 years after that. So this message is technically still en route. We have had no response. But here's the wild part. In 2001, a crop circle appeared in a field near a radio telescope in Hampshire, England. It was an almost exact replica of the Arecibo message. Same grid, same structure, but with some differences. The silicon element was added. The DNA was rewritten. The human figure was replaced with a being that had a large, bulbous head. And the Arecibo telescope was replaced with a drawing of a crop circle that had appeared in the same field the year before. Scientists called it a hoax, probably, but it has never definitively been explained. Number 8, we put a mixtape on a golden record and launched it into the universe. In 1977, NASA attached gold-plated copper records to both Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 before launching them beyond our solar system. Carl Sagan chaired a committee whose job was essentially this: represent all of human existence to an audience that might not be human. They chose 115 images: landscapes, animals, humans, cities. They recorded greetings in 55 different languages, including ancient Akkadian from 6,000 years ago. They included 90 minutes of music from Beethoven to Chuck Berry. They recorded the sound of rain, wind, ocean waves, a mother's first words to a newborn baby, and a kiss. They included the brainwave and heartbeat recordings of Anne Druyan, who happened to be falling in love with Carl Sagan at the time she recorded them. She knew that her thoughts, compressed onto a disc, would outlast every human civilization. NASA tried to include a nude photograph of a man and a pregnant woman so aliens could understand what we look like. Congress said no. They got too many angry letters about it the last time, when Pioneer's plaques showed a simple line drawing of a naked man and woman. So the nude photo got replaced with a silhouette. Voyager 1 is now over 24 billion kilometers from Earth. It is the farthest object humanity has ever built. The records are expected to last 1 billion years. Wherever they are going, they are already well past any point of return. Nobody has called back. Number 7, the signal from the wrong direction. In April 2019, the Parkes radio telescope in Australia was pointed at Proxima Centauri, the closest star to our sun, just 4.2 light-years away. It wasn't even looking for alien signals. It was studying stellar flares. Then an intern named Shane Smith, in October 2020, was reanalyzing that old data as part of the Breakthrough Listen project, and he found something. A narrowband signal at almost exactly 982 megahertz, a very specific frequency. The signal had what's called a Doppler drift. Its frequency was changing over time, exactly the way a signal from an orbiting planet would change due to the planet's movement. Scientists called it BLC1, Breakthrough Listen Candidate 1. They described it as the most exciting signal they had ever found. They checked 5,160 signal candidates. Only BLC1 passed every single filter. Out of every screening they had, there was no known source on Earth transmitting at that frequency. No planes, no satellites, no nearby buildings, nothing. The team spent months running every test in their playbook, and then they invented new tests because the old ones had run out. And then, when they pointed the telescope at Proxima Centauri again, BLC1 was gone. It was eventually concluded to be an unusually complex case of human-made interference that had mimicked an alien signal almost perfectly. But here's the thing. They didn't advertise loudly. Nobody ever found the specific source of the interference. The closest star to Earth sent us something that looked exactly like a signal from a planet, and then it disappeared. Number 6. The cosmic face in the radio noise. In the summer of 1924, Mars came closer to Earth than it had in decades. The U.S. government decided this was the right moment to listen for alien transmissions. The U.S. Navy issued a radio silence order. No American stations were to broadcast for 36 hours, so the noise floor would be as quiet as possible. An inventor named Charles Francis Jenkins designed a radio camera that converted incoming radio signals into light flashes and burned them onto a 38-foot roll of photographic paper. When the paper was developed, there was a pattern, a repeating, structured pattern. And inside it, multiple people who examined it saw a face, a crude, pixelated, alien-looking face staring back at the camera. Scientists scrambled. Radio experts examined the roll for weeks. The U.S. Army Signal Corps was involved. The pattern was never identified as coming from any earthly transmitter. No explanation was ever confirmed. The original paper roll is now lost. Only digital copies of it survive. And in those copies, the face is still there, staring out at you across 100 years. Number 5. The radio bursts that shouldn't exist. Sometime around 2007, astronomers started noticing something in old data that made absolutely no sense. Intense flashes of radio energy, lasting only a fraction of a second, coming from billions of light years away. Not from one source, not from one direction, from everywhere, from all corners of the universe all at once. They called them fast radio bursts, or FRBs, and the energy in a single one of these bursts, released in 1 millisecond, is equivalent to what our entire sun outputs in 3 full days. There is no known natural object that should be able to do that. Then things got weirder. Most FRBs fire once and are never heard from again, but one of them, FRB121102, started repeating. And then it repeated 15 more times in a single afternoon. And then a second one was found. And then more. Some of them fire on a 16-day cycle, 4 days of intense bursting, then 12 days of silence, then 4 days of bursting again, like clockwork. Harvard astrophysicists formally published a paper suggesting one possible explanation, that FRBs could be energy leakage from alien spacecraft propulsion systems. Essentially, alien ships using radio beams to accelerate between stars. And we were picking up the exhaust. The scientific community mostly rolled their eyes. The most likely explanation remains magnetars, hypermagnetized neutron stars. But here's the problem. FRBs are more energetic than any magnetar we have ever observed. And the ones that repeat, nobody can fully explain those at all. Number 4. The 72-second sound that changed everything. August 15, 1977. Ohio State University. A volunteer astronomer named Jerry Amon was sorting through printouts from the Big Ear Radio Telescope, a machine that had been silently scanning the sky for alien signals since 1973, operated by doctors, lawyers, teachers, and professors who were all too passionate about the question to stop. That night, while flipping through pages of data, Amon spotted a column of numbers so unusual, so impossibly perfect, that he grabbed a red pen and circled it. Then he wrote one word in the margin. Wow. The signal lasted exactly 72 seconds. the maximum window the telescope could observe any given point in the sky due to Earth's rotation. It came in at 1,420 megahertz, the frequency at which hydrogen atoms emit radio waves, the single most common frequency in the entire universe, and the exact frequency that SETI scientists had theorized an intelligent civilization would choose to transmit on, because any advanced species that understands physics would know that frequency. The signal was 30 times more intense than the surrounding background noise. It had a perfect narrow-band shape, meaning it was not scattered across frequencies. It was aimed. Amon has said simply, "I have no idea what might have been contained in the message, if anything." They looked for it again the next night, and the night after that, and for decades after that, with telescopes far more powerful than the Big Ear ever was. It has never been detected again, not once. In 2024, a new hypothesis proposed it may have been caused by a magnetar energizing a cloud of hydrogen gas. But the hypothesis has not been peer-reviewed. The WOW signal remains, nearly 50 years later, the single strongest candidate for an alien radio transmission ever detected. The Big Ear was demolished in 1997 to build a golf course. Number 3, the answer we don't know how to read. From 1999 to 2020, a project called SETI at Home recruited volunteers around the world to donate the idle processing power of their home computers to help analyze radio data from the Arecibo telescope. Not 50,000 volunteers, like the organizers had hoped for. 2 million volunteers. Over 21 years, those computers collectively processed over 12 billion potential signals from deep space. The project ended in 2020. Scientists spent years sorting through the results. In early 2026, they announced they had narrowed the list down to 100 signals, 100 radio transmissions from space that cannot be explained. Not noise, not known astrophysical sources, not human interference. 100 signals that passed every filter scientists threw at them. They have not been identified. They have not been dismissed. They are currently being studied. One of them could be the most important discovery in human history. We don't know yet. Number 2, the message we decoded but can't understand. In May 2023, a European Space Agency spacecraft orbiting Mars, the ExoMars Trace gas orbiter, beamed a signal toward Earth. 16 minutes later, 3 observatories on Earth picked it up. The raw data was released to the public online, and thousands of citizen scientists across the world, communicating through a global Discord server, raced to decode it. It took 10 days to extract the signal from the surrounding spacecraft noise. It took nearly a year for anyone to crack the code. A father-daughter team named Ken and Kelly Chaffin finally decoded the message in June 2024. What they found inside was a sequence of white dots arranged into a specific pattern. The pattern represents the 5 amino acids, the fundamental building blocks of all life as we know it. The artists and scientists who designed the experiment confirmed the decoding was correct. But here's what they have not confirmed: what the message actually means. Why those 5 amino acids? In what order? Is it a greeting, a warning, a map? An entire global scientific community decoded it and still cannot agree on what it says. This was a test run, a rehearsal designed by humans to prepare us for the day we receive a real message. And we decoded it, and we still don't understand it. Number 1. The signal that arrived before we were ready. In the summer of 2025, an interstellar object called 3I/Atlas entered our solar system traveling at extraordinary speed. Too fast to be bound to our sun, meaning it came from somewhere else entirely. It came from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius. In September 2025, Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb published a paper pointing out something that had been sitting in the data, unremarked for 48 years. The WOW signal of 1977 came from the direction of Sagittarius, and 3I/Atlas on August 12, 1977, just 3 days before the WOW signal was detected, was at almost exactly the same coordinates in the sky. The WOW signal appeared on August 15, 1977. The object that may have sent it passed through the coordinates 3 days earlier, moving at interstellar speed. Loeb formally asked radio telescopes to observe 3I/Atlas and check whether it was emitting radio transmissions near the hydrogen frequency. If it was, it would mean the WOW signal was not a fluke. It would mean something passed through our solar neighborhood in 1977, broadcast on the exact frequency we were listening for, and then kept going. Nobody knows what 3I/Atlas is yet. It is still being studied. It will leave our solar system forever in the coming months. This is the one that haunts astronomers who know about it. Because if it is what it might be, we already heard it 48 years ago. And we wrote "Wow" in the margin with a red pen and watched it disappear. We have been listening for over a century. We have fired our voices into the dark, and we have waited. We have built machines the size of cities just to cup our ears to the sky. And the universe has sent us things, just enough things, to make it impossible to stop looking. Someday, maybe very soon, something is going to come through that we cannot explain away. And when it does, you are going to want to know this history. If this video made you feel small in the best way possible, hit that like button, share it with someone whose mind you want to melt, and subscribe, because the universe is still talking, and we are just getting started decoding it.